Good morning, everybody. So the TA was kind enough to let me drop my trailer in the yard here, and I had signed a waiver and everything, indemnifying them of anything that happens to the trailer or whatever. But they let me drop it, so I'm gonna go off to the Forney Transportation Museum today because I like transportation. I might go to the Railroad Museum, the Colorado Railroad Museum today, but I have been to the Colorado Railroad Museum twice already. Although it is a good museum, I do like walking around in there. But I've been there twice already, and I've kind of seen everything they have to see. So I figure I'll do this instead today. And then there's the Clive Cussler Car Museum, but I can't remember how close it is to here. I'm not entirely sure I want to drive too far out of the way. So they only allow you to have the trailer parked for 2 hours. So I may have to come back pretty quickly after this. But anyway, that's what we're going to do today. You're going to see more cars and trains, but this time they have airplanes. So we started in the Forney Museum of Transportation here in the model room, and you can see a number of models here on display, both assembled models and production models. They had a lot of 1950s cars, production model cars. And then they had this really cool diorama of McDonald's that I liked. And you can see all the 50s cars and the Scenic Cruiser bus and the trucks and everything. Some model of a Bugatti Type 37 or 39 Atlantic. It was a gorgeous car. They had a model railroad you could put a quarter in, and with those throttles there, you could control the railroad. And I stepped out into the exhibit, and the first thing you see is this 1890s steam locomotive. I used to run those at Six Flags Over Texas. And then you can see this full row of cars here. All these are Fords on the front row. They had a display of Buffalo Bill's Wild West show, one of the wagons from his show. This is a Ford Model K. This came along before the assembly line of Fords. Amelia Earhart's Bissell. Not sure what the year was, but there's Amelia Earhart sitting in the front. Who knew she was at the museum this whole time? They had a number of Bissells, this limousine, for instance. Then they had another limousine, and then you could see a yellow Bissell Roadster there in the background. I stepped over, and they had a couple 50s cars. This is a 1957 Cadillac, and then some 30s cars there in the background. One of those 30s cars was this 1934 Pierce Arrow, and then a 1920s Rolls Royce you can see there in the background. They had a 70s car display going on at the time I was there, but I ducked into the motorcycle room real quick to take a look, because I'm not really interested in 70s cars. But I ducked back in, and they had a number of sedans here, which I like. The 78 Mercury, and then here's a 78 or 79 Buick. And I remember these cars from when I was a kid, still out on the road. The 77 Buick Riviera, the 75th anniversary edition. I've seen one of these before in Dallas. Then they had this Granada, which I kind of thought was funny, because Granadas are not known for being good cars. I stepped over, they had a cable car. I think this is either a cable car or a horse-drawn car. They had an original Denver streetcar that you could rent out for parties, birthday parties, which was pretty neat. I went back to this really cool Cadillac limousine. Did not get a story on it, unfortunately. An Ambassador wagon, which I love the AMC Ambassadors. And then I went to the back, and they had these work cars, a fire truck and a school bus and a hearse here. And I stepped over to the railroad equipment. This is a private rail car. This was the only good picture I could get of the interior, unfortunately. And then I walked up front to the big boy and was able to look at the cab. I wanted to get in and sit down, but you need a docent in order to get in to sit down. So the best I could do was just to look at it through the gate here. That's the firebox there. It goes back about 20 feet or so. So it was a good museum. I took pictures instead of taking video this time, and I'm gonna try to do like a slideshow talking over or whatever of what I think is the most interesting out of this place. I was a little disappointed because you can't walk through some of the equipment. Was hoping to be able to get in and sit down in the big boy cab, but they had it closed off. I got trapped though, started talking to people actually from the Dallas area who had never seen a big boy, even though there's a big boy in the Dallas area, so that was kind of funny. Let's see what else. Well, I got trapped by a couple people asking questions about the big boy, and since I volunteered for the Museum of the American Railroad in Dallas, at least, a couple times. Well, for a while, actually. I was able to answer questions for them that maybe they couldn't have gotten answered through the regular like display paperwork or whatever. That was kind of cool. I don't know what I'm going to do now. I could go to the Colorado Railroad Museum. Probably not going to because I've been. I could go to the Custer Car Museum. Probably not going to because I've been. And kind of when you've seen it, you've seen it. I've got pictures from the Custer Car Museum of everything that I wanted to see out there anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. There's not really anything else in Denver that I want to go see. I'm going to meet up with a friend tonight at Union Station in downtown, which I do want to see. So I'm probably just going to go back to the truck stop and go ahead and hook back up to the trailer, and then just leave the truck and go downtown to Union Station either via Uber, or I might try to like figure out how to get there on the light rail. That's probably going to take a couple hours to get there. So, but I think it would be fun. Anyway, let's go back. All right, so I brought the truck back to the truck stop. I've decided that instead of sitting here and like getting an Uber later to go to Union Station, I'm going to try to get there by light rail. They have a pretty extensive light rail system here in the Denver area, and I like trains, and I like riding trains, so I'm going to go ride some trains. I'm going to leave the truck here and everything. Yeah, so it'll be good. Out and about. Train's going to come from that way. My head's always crooked. Anyway. Should be here. So here it comes, actually.